We are 3 weeks away from Florida State football, back on the field for spring practice, trying to get ready for 2021 and erase the memory of 3-6 in 2020. We got Logan Robinson on the line from Nole Game Day as we break down position by position to get you set for FSU in the spring. Logan, what's going on, man?
Good evening, Mark. We're back once again, ready to preview some positions. It's a big spring ahead. Florida State's and, well, really Mike Norvell's first spring since he's been in Tallahassee. So a lot to look forward to. Florida State really needs this spring. There's a lot of positions that need this spring, a lot of unanswered position groups that we're going to discuss. So I think today we picked a pretty good one to start off with.
Yeah, you got to have that guy that pulls the trigger to make it all happen, obviously. And it's been a rough position for the last couple of years. And though McKenzie Milton, of course, there's only one question about the guy. He's proven himself over two just excellent campaigns with UCF in 2017 and 18. But it's all about whether he's going to stay healthy. But, man, he is just a huge addition.
Yeah, but it was really came down to relationships and the respect for both parties they had for one another. Look, talking about Mike Norvell and also McKenzie Milton, the way that they had met each other before and certain games, and also after McKenzie Milton's injury, Mike Norvell actually had the whole Memphis team sign, I believe it was a ball or some kind of piece, and sent it to McKenzie Milton whenever he was dealing with all of his surgeries. All the players signed the ball, so they got a little bit closer there and of knowing each other. And so when it came to the part of where McKenzie Milton was interested in transferring, I'm sure there was some talks early on if there was a spot, or if even Mike Norvell and Kenny Dillingham would be interested. And sure enough, Mike Norvell made the move to saying that, yeah, we're ready for you if you want to come, if you're fully healthy and you feel like you're ready to rock. Florida State lost big-time quarterback commit Luke Altmaier, who I think was going to be Mike Norvell's quarterback of the future. Loses him, and I believe it was practically the next week Mike Norvell's able to find an answer, and it ends up being McKenzie Milton.
Yeah, so this is a guy that could not only sling it, but he could run. And obviously, you got to expect that that's going to be a bit compromised as they try to maybe protect him in the offense. A guy that had 20 rushing touchdowns in 2 years at UCF. But again, 4,000 yards passing. Just look at the 2 seasons in which he's getting UCF into the top 10 in the nation, beating a top 10 Auburn team in the Peach Bowl to complete an undefeated season. 72 touchdown passes in his career, threw for 4,000 yards 1 year and 37 touchdowns. This guy, if he's 80% of what he was, then he's just an enormous upgrade.
Yeah, no, it's a gigantic upgrade on the field, but I think even more how it's going to be in the locker room. We can't stress enough. We've talked about it on our weekly show with Jason and James and you, but the way Florida State's locker room has really struggled the last 3 or 4 years, definitely in the last 2 years. Guys not on the right page, some guys not there for the right reasons, egos through the roof, aren't serious about playing at FSU. This locker room has been shot. You bring in a guy that is a veteran. He is an old guy coming in. He is an old guy compared to these youngins. We've heard from a few interviews that Florida State's had with some of the players, a true freshman coming in. They're like, this is an old guy coming in here. They're not used to this. And he's obviously has a great respect down there in Orlando. Everybody loves him. This is a great story that Florida State love. They need. Good PR. There's going to be great storylines heading into the Notre Dame game in September. But the way that his presence is going to be felt in the locker room, I think, is going to do better for Florida State on the field more than anything. He's already created great relationships from what I was told just a few days ago on the phone. He's already memorized everybody's name on the team, and he's memorized the equipment staff, all the players, the analysts, everybody, he's only been here for about a month per se, a little month and maybe 5 days, but he's got everybody's names memorized, and he's creating a lot of relationships, not only after tour of duty workouts. He's having throwing sessions with wide receivers. youngins coming in early enrollees. He's having throwing sessions with tight ends, sometimes just particularly position group by position groups, different times during the week. He's really dialed in and really is intending on competing for this starting job, because we talked to E.J. Manuel on our other show at Knoll Game Day, and he said, Jordan Travis isn't going to be easy to beat out. And I kind of agree with him. I think McKenzie Milton has the arm talent. It really is going to depend on how he's going to move his legs, but still got a competition against Jordan Travis coming up too this spring.
MarkRogersTV, the voice of college football, breaking down the Noles as we head toward a spring practice in about 3 weeks, and our Florida State quarterback preview. We're going to run down all the positions with Logan Robinson, who joins us, of course, on our Florida State live show every Wednesday night at 6 p.m. Eastern time. Catch Logan and the rest of the crew there at Knoll Game Day. Do you think it's a situation in which Mackenzie Milton just comes in and let's assume he earns a starting spot, he just blends right into the offense, or do you think they're really going to accommodate him in terms of what he does well? And then again, considering the injury, that he may not be the running threat, or they may not want to expose him the way he was years ago.
Yeah, I think they're going to be careful more with him than anything. I believe the doctor's going to tell him that the training staff's going to want that to happen. The whole nation's going to want that to happen. But I think they're going to work on protecting him as much as they can with the offense we saw last year. This wasn't supposed to be a Jordan Travis show last year, but the offense moved to that because he ended up being the starter for the season. And the offensive line change, it was more of a moving left to right kind of O-line, so it made it easier for them to make blocks and allow Jordan Travis to either throw certain passes or run the ball. They're going to have to figure out, they're going to change things around a little bit, because McKenzie Milton's biggest talent, like Mark said at the beginning of this, is McKenzie Milton can throw the damn football. I mean, if he's, like Mark said, 80%, he's a top 25 quarterback in the country. If he's 90%, then he's a top 15. He's got the arm talent, not only arm, but the way that he uses his mind. I think he's going to be the smartest quarterback Florida State has had since Winston. And I haven't really had not a lot of people argue with me on that. Obviously, Jameis Winston is a different level. A lot of people aren't going to get on his level, but at least mindset wise and maturity, I guess sometimes Jameis was a little off the field, a little few things that he did, but on the field and the way he approached film and watching and getting extra work done with his players, with his teammates, was first class maturity, and that showed out on the field. He made his reads, and that's something Florida State has struggled with, the quarterback. And this offense, I think, like you said, Mark, for him running the ball, they're not going to really want to focus on him doing that. But I wouldn't be shocked if he, if there's a play where it's not designed to that, but he takes a run. Yeah, as long as he's doing it safely. But he did that at UCF. There'd be some plays where it's shot, where it's absolutely dead, and you'd see him jump into the end zone, a 10-yard run into the end zone, which back in the past, you'd kind of see a quarterback like Florida State, looking back at Blackman, he'd struggle. He'd really get fidgety there, and he'd end up taking a sack or take a 10-yard loss. This quarterback knows, all right, the play's already dead. Sometimes the play is already dead before it's 5 seconds. The play's already dead. I'm just going to run it right in. And that's something McKenzie Milton, if you look at film on him, that's what he's good at. So his brain's very smart. His arm's great. The biggest question right now is how athletic can he be behind a Florida State offensive line that we know still got some work to do, but isn't the greatest.
Yeah, so then Jordan Travis basically takes over for James Blackman last year. The stats aren't going to be for stat geeks that look at certain measurables. You want your quarterback in this day and age to hit on 65% of his passes. And guys like Mac Jones and Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields are more in the 72 to 75% range. Jordan Travis completes 55%. That's not all on him. That's a lot of offensive line. That's wide receiver issues, 6 TDs, 6 picks. But obviously the running threat that he is, 6 yards per carry, and that includes sacks. So how do you think he played last year? Do you think there's much room for growth?
I think there's a lot of room for growth. And coming into the season, like I said, Jordan Travis wasn't expected to be the starter whatsoever. What's funny is is that Kenny Dillingham and Mike Norvell ended up putting him as a third quarterback in the depth chart. Tate Rodemaker was actually the backup to James Blackman. If we all remember the game, I forget which one it was. It's third game where Jordan Travis ended up being the third option after Tate Rodemaker, I believe. I don't know if it was a pick six or threw a interception pretty early on. Kind of was really off to start off. Just wasn't ready for college football. You could tell at that level. And Jordan Travis is thrown in there, and boom, is able to throw a deep ball. They allow him to throw some. Obviously, we know his legs, and that offense was actually churning, which at that point, the games before, they were really struggling. Mike Norvell came here to run and score. Came here to run, score, and score a lot of points. And that's just what Jordan Travis was able to bring. There's still some things that he's got to work on. Obviously, throwing is something that has hindered him. I think I was pretty impressed, though, with allowing him, or the way he was making some deep throws. I thought he impressed and shocked a lot of people. I wish they kind of would have stayed more consistent with Jordan Travis, not hindering after he's making big throws like that. Keep it going, keep it coming, get the rust off of him. There's just certain things he's got to get better at his reading, and that's just practically what has hindered him, his reads, and then also staying consistent with completions and throwing it deeper. I think Mike Norvell and Kenny Dillingham are heading into the spring, really making this one-on-one competition on who's going to be the starter against Notre Dame. But getting into the season, for the rest of the season, I don't think it's going to be a one-man show, if that makes any sense. It just depends on, hey, do you want to take the first snap? Do you want to take the first series down against Notre Dame? You just can't get Jordan Travis off the field. There's no way you can do that. I think he would have transferred already. I think we would have already heard him having intentions on looking around. There's going to be an offense for both McKenzie Milton and Jordan Travis this season. There's just no way you can keep him off the field. Even if you put him at a slot, you can still put him in the backfield with Corbin and Toa Philly. You could use him as a running back. I think he has great vision. Jordan Travis is going to be on that field and going to be on the field a lot in the backfield, in my opinion.
And then Trevor Purdy's hopefully not going to see the field too much this year, but just as a redshirt freshman, he got some really valuable playing time. You know, he got in there, threw a couple touchdown passes, 53 attempts on the season. So, you know, Milton's a one-time deal, and then maybe Purdy's back in the mix and fighting for the job next year.
It seems like that's something that a lot of people are saying could be the plan for Mike Norvell and Dillingham. You give McKenzie Milton in here, like we said earlier, veteran guy, good guy in the locker room. You can learn and watch film with. Put Purdy behind him, even Jordan Travis, Tate Rodemaker, but definitely Purdy. And let him learn. Let him also heal. So from what I've been told, he hasn't even thrown the football yet the start of the spring, I guess you can say. And we're 3 weeks away from the spring, or not the spring game, but 3 weeks from practice beginning. They're already in workouts. Tour of duty is fully on 2 days a week right now as we speak. But Trevor Purdy hasn't thrown with anybody yet. McKenzie Milton has been able to throw. Jordan Travis been able to throw with guys. It's going to hinder him. Really, he's just got to get healthy. This upper body injury is a concern right now, and the only way to get that better is working on it and healing and not rushing the process. I think Mike Norvell had a sit-down talk with Purdy and maybe Rodemaker and said, hey, we're bringing in this guy right now to really learn and get behind a guy that is throwing the football and knows how to throw the football, is one of the best in the country during his time at UCF. But Trevor Purdy has got to heal before anything. And there is definitely a future for him, I think, on this team as a potential starter. And the biggest thing for him right now, you got to be able to sit back behind Purdy and see, or sit behind McKenzie Milton and see, what is developing on film. What is the right read? Should I take it for a run right now? Should I throw it to my deep? Should I throw it to my third guy open? It's just so many things that he can learn by. So that's another reason I think Mike Norvell brought Milton in for this locker room.
Because it's definitely a guy that if he gets back healthy and he's able to learn those things from a McKenzie Milton, man, a really talented guy, a top 200 prospect when he came out of high school out of Arizona, 7th rated dual threat quarterback in the 247 Sports Composite. So no reason to give up on him. He got 50 reps in throwing the football against ACC competition. And, he might be the guy for 22.
Yeah, absolutely. Then the quarterback room is, like I've said multiple times, is really going to be, I think, it's going to work very well with having a guy in here like this. And it's good to see that Milton's been on it since day one, arriving, working with these guys. It shows a lot of respect for what he has, what the guys that are already on the team. And there's got to be some maturity things going on here. And the only way, if you're going to bring in maturity for a team, bring it to that quarterback room first, so they can set the example. That's how it starts, is at the quarterback room, no matter what. Being a leader, showing examples, not screwing around off the field, making sure that you're taking your time off to take care of your own self, taking right now COVID-19 seriously, and not fooling around and missing workouts to where you're having to quarantine yourself. Having a guy like this, I think, is really going to be good for this team, and we're going to see an improved locker room from the inside before we step out on the field and against Notre Dame and Doak to start off the season.
All right. Best discussion, debate, and analysis right here. That's our aim. That's our goal. That's our mission. Thanks to guys like Logan Robinson, Noel Game Day. And of course, we get together every Wednesday night, 6 o'clock Eastern time, right here at Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. Wednesdays at 6, talking Florida State football. We're going to have Logan back to break down the rest of the offense, the defense, special teams as we head towards spring. Logan, it's always appreciated, man.
We've got a little bit more of these to go, but I'm excited. I'm ready to talk some more spring ball, actually get into some positions, and I'm ready. I'm excited. Thank you for inviting me, Mark.